Hey everybody, this is Time Flux coming at you with this week's Podium picks. Now what this is essentially me going over a couple different roller coasters here from Planet Coaster. Do my Podium picks here just through Planet Coaster because of course honestly one of the best roller coaster games out there right now, I believe. But I know there's tons of others, but I'm just going with this one for this episode and gonna be going over some of my favorite picks I found on the workshop this week. So I'm going to go ahead and go over in detail the way I'm going to break it down. Essentially, I got things breaking down to a couple different categories. We got basic coasters, we got decorated coasters, and full design coasters. With the 5 I picked this week, I really only have decorated and full designs, but essentially they're going to go over multiple different topics such as smoothness, flow, structure, design, decoration, as well as effects and experience. So kind of like how you feel the ride kind of thing. But yeah, you get the idea. But essentially, we're going to go over all those things, kind of give them a score for each of these 5, and then we're going to go ahead and burn it down to our top 3 for the podium. But yes, that does mean we are going to have 2 that do not make the podium, but that's part of it. You got to make podium for this. So let's see what top 3 coasters make it. So let's go and do a quick breakdown here off of our first ride. That was Thunderbolt. Now, I gotta say, yeah, sadly this did not get the top podium for some major reasons, of course. Track was very, very janky, not really smooth, but I'll move away from the criticism for a moment and just first focus about what I found good. And one thing I will say is a theme. That one had a great theme about it. It had a good little ambience about it. I mean, you got nice vibrant colors, you got a futuristic vibe, you got some spaceships, you got a good bit of, again, you just got a good bit of, a nice theme there. Like, you can't really go wrong with that. But yeah, aside from that, yeah, the ride was very janky. Even on the drops, they were kind of shifting, like to the right or left after it fell, which is very weird. I don't even know how that would feel on the body. It probably hurt a lot. I could actually feel my body probably like hurt on this track if I were to ride it, just because of the amount of turns and the way that it turned when it did. And also the excessive use of chain lift when it wasn't needed. There was some climbs that didn't really need a chain lift. Well, not really say it didn't need it, but it could have done without a chain lift. It could have just done a hill drop and that would have been fine. But yeah, this, honestly, yeah, it does get the 5th pick, and it did get a 40.4 for my rating for this one, mainly just because the track's smoothness and flow was probably the lowest points, as well as the structure. It's very oddly made, but I gotta say though, at least for the ones I found this week, it actually looks pretty nice. Guy just did a lot of spamming with the rocks there, but it still gave a good kind of like picture for what kind of environment that you're in, especially if you were to have other aspects with the park in there with it. It'd probably look really great. But sadly, yeah, this is going to have to be our number 5 pick here for a decorated style coaster. But hey, still not bad of a ride though, not entirely bad. Still had some good shots there, especially with color, orientation, and just overall theme. So hey, number 5 there just for you, Thunderbolt. right off the bat here, I just gotta say, I love this Tetris board. I mean, look at that animation. That takes a lot of work to get done and to figure out. I honestly could probably see myself probably working on that for a good few hours, but hey, that's probably one of my favorite aspects of this ride. But sadly, of course, yeah, there's some parts of the coaster that I wish we could probably fix. Looks like he used some default parts for loops, circles, whatever kind of banks that he had going on, because you can kind of obviously tell when he was using between different transitions, the track kind of bends, kind of not really smoothly at all. That's my only real big issue, honestly. I mean, the track still looks great. It's still formatted well. It has good supports with the blocks. They're kind of unique. I do notice that when you're going through on your coaster, the person that was sitting there, he was on the far left there. You can actually really tell how close you got on some of those drops and whatnot when it came close to the structures. So a little too close for comfort. I know some coasters can, but when you're on a big steel coaster like this, you got to have some room on the side, of course, safety precautions. Not like this game has to be realistic or anything, but it just took away from kind of the overall feel for like really comfortable, fun ride. But hey, besides that, I mean, hey, the coaster looked good, had good structure. I love the Tetris board yet again, but I had to honestly give this score a 60. So with 60 out of 100, it's kind of a D in my book. I mean, D for most people's grades, I would hope, but anyways, I only gave him a 60 on this one, because, I mean, hey, he had some good designs again, but just didn't make up for it quite on the track, and that's probably the most important aspect when you come to build these things. But regardless, great work here by this guy, but I'm going to have to go and give this guy the 4th place podium seat. So not quite on the actual podium for top 3, but for sure a really close nomination. So I will say, great job on this guy's part, and pretty good ride. That was Lost Temple. Now, I gotta say, one thing that really threw me off, that gave me, the only reason why I really chose the lower points in this one was the end. You guys probably already saw the inversion on the side. The very end was really slow, probably a little too slow for my likings at least, and had breaks going down sideways and downhill, kind of all weird corkscrewy, kind of all messed up. That's the one part I really did not like. It was smooth, it was very fluid, had good feeling about it, had good tricks here and there, had a nice little cobra roll in there, but the end just really threw it off for me. They really could have done it any other way. They could have just made a giant little descend into a big old loop and kind of very slowed it down at the end there, but it's really messed me up there at the very end. And that's the one part I gotta say, the reason why it didn't get the top 2. It did get podium, it did get 3rd there, it got a bronze medal there, but that was the one thing that really set me back from getting this thing more points. And also, I could have said the decoration could have been kept up a little bit. It was mostly all the same trees. A couple I can see just on a certain angle and not really rotated. But yeah, always randomizing your decorations, adding a little bit more strength to the buildings. As you can tell, if you look at some of the buildings over there, they're kind of really thinly put together. Doesn't really look like they're really filled out. They're just kind of just walls holding up other walls kind of deal. When you make these buildings in here, you gotta make them feel really filled out, unless of course they're meant to be structurally not so sound. But anyways, decoration could have been upped a little bit. I still like the colors, I still like the theme, love the fluidity of this ride. The structure's great, the way just the ride flows is amazing, up until the very end, of course. But yeah, sadly, didn't get as much points as I hoped it would get, but it did get third place here. It actually got 72% for its score. So really, really good there, and got to give the author there some credit. But again, like all these rides, I will be putting the Steam Workshop links there at the bottom, and also the authors that made it. But hey, for this one, gotta say, this got a great third place podium there, so let's go and give him a round of applause there. Good job, man. But that's pretty much it for there. That was Lost Temple. First off, wow, Hotspot did a great job there setting the environment. So, man, as you guys can already tell, whole volcano scene, tiki scene, just looks really cool for kind of like an islandy kind of volcano vibe. So, I mean, hey, first off the bat, yeah, no, I gotta say, yeah, the theme is fantastic on this one. Really fluid, very, very smooth. Just right off the bat, already had some good visuals, had everything synced up there. This one's actually a design coaster, because this one actually had the effects and the whole entire environment about it. So it had a little bit more to be judged on, but it did really make up for it and actually putting out that much. So like if you saw the whole entire ride, of course, you saw all the different aspects we saw with the synchronized effects, with the fire, with the lava, everything else, even the screen that they had on or I should say the laughing part that the skeleton face had on towards the middle of the ride. So hey, a lot of really good coordination on this part, and it's part of the reason why I got second place. It was just really, really close when it came to scores for this one, because this one actually almost made first place. But hey, fantastic ride on this one. Really, really smooth. It actually got this one an 87.1% for this one, so really, really high. But again, not the best score, of course. That's what we have coming up next. But hey, for this ride, it actually had pretty good transitions, I gotta say. Only thing I'd really, actually I should probably criticize on is I maybe saw 4 or 5 instances where the track didn't really feel smooth. I feel like it probably had like a point where it kind of went out and in a little bit more than usual. You probably you could barely tell if you went to go right it's the first time, but the amount of times that I went and rode this thing to kind of get an idea for it, you kind of start seeing them after a while. That's kind of the same thing I do when I build coasters. I kind of just ride mine the entire time, and I'll highlight the areas that are kind of questionable, go back and fix them. Honestly, this kind of made me feel like a ride I possibly could have made, just for the fact that it had a good feel about it, but it had a couple of small errors in there probably could have been fixed. I normally just wave it by and just say screw it, it's pretty good already. But hey, this one's probably way better than I could probably still make anyways. This thing's fantastic. I mean, great transitions, the flows between the speeds and low speeds. Another Cobra roll in this one, got a few loops. Honestly, if I were to be riding this one in real life, I'd probably have a big episode because I cannot handle G's pretty well, and this one looked like it was pretty tough on the body. But I don't know, that's just me. I just can't handle that stuff, so I'm kind of weak on that aspect. But hey, I love the way this looks. It's probably a really fun ride to ride. If you were to put this in any amusement park, this would probably get a lot of people online. So hey, big credit to this guy. Got a lot of great visuals, really good environment, really smooth. Just big credit for that for our number 2 podium spot there. So big round of applause too for second place. I said that last slide was pretty close, but I think I kind of forgot the score I actually gave Scorpion's Lair, because Scorpion's Lair actually got a 95.7. As you could already tell, that ride was phenomenal. Everything from the decoration to the theme to the music to the just the overall kind of feel that you have while you're riding the ride. It's phenomenal. I mean, I nearly gave this thing a perfect score, give way a couple of spots for smoothness, flow, and just the whole overall experience just because of those. But everything else pretty much perfect. I mean, you got amazing decoration. You got good kind of like scenery and storytelling built within kind of like the scene that you got going on. Of course, you're like doing the actual wooden coaster part in the very beginning, which of course I'm kind of already biased a little bit because I like wooden coasters. But when I found this, I mean, I just kind of downloaded it. I was like, hey, this looks kind of neat, and I went and rode it, and it was like way better than what it looks like, because you don't know about that underground part. The underground part actually fooled me first, because I mean, when I first rode this thing, I actually got to that first part where it kind of stops and goes on the rolling tires, and I was like, oh, that's it? I mean, that's still a pretty nice ride. I still think that's one of the better ones I've seen, but then it hits me with the second part, and I was like, oh, okay. So to kind of go into the part where it shows the Scorpion's Lair, you kind of go underground, excavation site, Snake, he kind of jump. I had a couple jump scares there. Actually, the first time I rode it and went through the whole thing, I actually got scared just a tad bit, just because it had I mean, it was also pretty loud, but it had good storytelling about it. It made me kind of somewhat jumped out of my seat. I mean, not physically, but you get the idea. It was really good at developing a feel for the ride, and that was the main reason why I gave this such a high score, was just the combination of great feel, flow, decoration, the vibe that the whole entire thing gives. It's phenomenal. And this thing just takes the board first place. I mean, honestly, this thing did an amazing job. I can't think of anything else better. I mean, even go down the details when you got the actual entry station. He went the extra mile to actually make it look like you had a secondary area for the cart. So, you know, sometimes people make the secondary stations for multiple trains or not, or just the reserve train when one needs to be in repairs. That kind of stuff's pretty nice as well. But also lighting, effects, you got the scorpions, you got the animatronics, you got everything all synchronized perfectly, even at the very end with the scorpion too. But again, like a lot of the coasters I've seen today, biggest downfall, I don't know why, maybe it's just personal taste, but I just don't seem to like fast, what's the word I'm looking for? Fast chain lifts. Fast chain lifts don't really make me feel like I'm riding the ride for real. When I ride it really slow, it makes it feel like real life, where I've been sitting in line for a long time, I see this amazing ride, I get on the roller coaster part where I'm going on the incline, I'm doing the chain lift, and I'm just sitting there. It's a bunch of anticipation, like you're waiting. You like it adds to the overall feel of the coaster when you have to wait to get to that first drop or wait to get to the second drop, because it builds up anticipation, it builds up fear for some rides, it builds up kind of like a feel for the overall ride in general. So yeah, that's the one thing I didn't really like as much as the chain lift. But I mean, hey, everything else of that ride, fantastic. Gotta be fantastic. Almost near perfect, like the chain lift and some other very light details I didn't really want to mention because they're too specific. But this thing was gosh dang near perfect, and I gotta say, this thing again sweeps the board for #1 and our top pick for this week's podium pick. So thank you guys for all watching, and hope you guys have a good one.